this has been making the rounds. We'll probably do a standalone video on this, guys, just to let you know. But this has been making the rounds recently. And this was on Twitter. And it's like, I think I destroyed my relationship trying to compliment my boyfriend. My boyfriend and I are both 28 years old and together for 2.5 years. Yesterday night, we were drinking and one thing led to another. And I tried to compliment him by saying he's not someone who I would hook up with or be friends with benefits, but marry. I thought everything was fine, but he seemed extremely distraught after that. I realized how he understood it and tried to clarify it, but he is still the same this morning. He told me he needs some space to think for a while and left the house. All my friends tell me I messed it up, and guys tell me it's not a compliment, and most men will understand it differently. I think I destroyed a relationship, and I am panicking right now.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you basically did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you said the quiet part out loud is what you did. And so what's going on right now all throughout Twitter is there's all the women are trying to sort of scramble and be apologetic about this. And then, of course, they're trying to turn it back, which is expected, trying to turn it back on guys saying, well, imagine being so insecure that you couldn't like take that as a compliment, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is it's not even, they're trying to like sort of play catch up for videos like this.
And us women place guys into 3 categories. The first category is the guy that we meet and we instantly just want. The sexual chemistry is high. We don't care what they do or how much they make, they are getting it. The second type is the guy that he's okay. He's maybe not that good looking, but he's willing to spend money. He's going to pay our bills. He's going to buy us nice things. He's going to take us on all the dinner dates. But is he the one? No. Is sexual chemistry high? Or mid, probably. And then there's the third guy. The third guy doesn't have a shot in hell. There is nothing that he can do. There is no amount of money that he can make that would make us want him. He is a no right off the bat. Am I lying or am I telling the truth?
I have a question about your view on this. So with these 3 categories, going back to like that picture from earlier. So obviously I think women place guys in those 3 categories. Now, do you think though, depending on a guy's behavior over a long enough period of time, that he can like shift from one category for another?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will disagree with me on that because they think that they're locked for life. Like, well, you can't fix ugly, right? You know, you can't fix short.
Yeah.
You can't fix. I'm like, well, the problem with that is that, yeah, you're probably right. If you're like physically deformed, there's probably nothing I'm going to be able to do that's going to like, you know, I mean, you can have a good attitude about it. You could be born with like, you know, hands and no arms or anything like that, but you just like but those are like outliers. Those are like very rare statistical anomalies for that. Okay. I think a lot of guys think that they're doomed because of their looks or they're doomed because of their height. Now, what is the guy that is, was he part of MOA? I see him at every damn Babes in Toyland event, and the guy is like 5'5" or 5'6".
Oh,
and
Anthony.
He is surrounded by beautiful women
He's
all
5
the time.
feet.
5 feet. That's how
You're talking about Anthony?
Yeah.
He's white.
Yeah.
Is he a white guy?
Always one guy there that's like the shortest dude, and he's like surrounded. I'm like, damn, how does this guy's a shark?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know like most like
this guy, Anthony.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Now he's part of MOA, right?
Yeah, he's one of the head coaches.
One of the head coaches. Yeah. I mean, and the guy does pretty well, you know, granted for, you know, even in spite of himself.
Yeah.
So are there, again, that might be also a statistical outlier. I understand that, but that's on the plus side rather than on the negative.
But everything he does though is something you can control, right?
Right.
Like, you can't control whether you're deformed or your height or your looks to some extent. There's a lot you could do about your looks than people really think. I'm a testament to that myself, but you know, you can control building a network, building a tribe, building a social circle, building pre-selection,
social proof,
all things we talk about, building dread, as you talk around the book. And that can like change the category that you get placed in.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So is Joe Pesci and Danny DeVito going to be like at the top of their game compared to somebody like Henry Cavill? Or no, of course not.
Yeah.
But you know what? From within their limitations, they can maximize themselves to overcome what would otherwise be more overwhelmingly a limitation for them.
Right.
Okay. So given that, I wanted to address that first before I talk about the rest. I agree with what she's saying, because she's basically outlined the 80-20 4.5% rule. 4.5% rule is the guy that he or she talks about in the very beginning right there. There's always going to be a guy. That's Justin Waller. Justin Waller is going to get fucking laid. I hate you. Hate you for this. But I'm not, as God is my witness, I even have the picture of it. I'll show. I don't want to show it online, but I have been at events with Justin. We were at a collective. It was George Gammon's event, and we were out there, and I think we were in Texas. And it was myself and his PA Tom. We're at a Mexican restaurant. We're just sitting. It's the end of the event. We're just sitting here, just nonchalant, just having this regular, normal, casual conversation. Some stunningly beautiful chick walks by the table. He was sitting like right about where you were. He walks by the table, comes this way. She puts looks like a bill, like a bar tab or a bill or like a restaurant tab like there, and so he picks it up, he looks at it, and it says like Ashley and the phone number on the thing, right? And he holds it up. That's when I took the picture. He holds it up like this, and he's smiling like a big old shit-eating grin on his face. The chick basically is at the hotel and wants to fuck him just based on just seeing him. Yeah. Didn't say one word. So she wanted to open. She was basically
to be in the 4.5%. I think a lot of guys watch you and Mike and kind of get.
I am definitely not in the 4.5%. I thank you for thinking I look so good for my age, but I am definitely not in the 4.5%.
Do you think to be in the 4.5%, it's just about looks?
I think that has the most to do with being the 4.5%.
Okay, got it.
It's not the only thing, but I think it has the most to do with being in the 4.5%.
Right.
So it's like anything else. When people say, "What's the most important thing?" Ro? Is it looks? Is it money, muscles, or game? Is it what is it? Affluent? I always call it looks, affluence, and game. Those things. Like if you can't have two, at least have two, because you'll make up for the deficit in the one. I mean, best is have three, right?
Yeah.
But at a minimum have two. If you can only have one, make sure it's game. Game is the most important of that.
You think game is?
I think game is the most important.
Why?
Simply because you can be very stunningly good looking, right? And you can get opened.
Yeah.
But for instance, if that girl who had given the number to Justin on that night, right? If he didn't have game, if he was, that's like saying a guy who has like Down syndrome, but looks like Justin Waller, that guy's still going to get laid. Yeah. No, it's not just about the looks. Looks is at the top of the list. It's the number one most thing, but it's not the only thing on the list. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to two guys who have about the same level of like physical attract, like the physical prowess, money, muscularity, everything else, they both have pretty much equal. Their faces are both symmetrical. They both look pretty good. They're twins basically.
Yeah.
And one doesn't have game and one does, the guy who has game is getting laid.
Do you think if one guy is higher in looks and one guy is lower, the guy with more game can overtake the guy with better looks?
I think that would be contextualized.
Yeah.
But yes, generally, but I think it would be contextualized. I think it just depends on like where you are. Like the guy who has good game in like at a Megadeth concert is not the same guy who has good game at like going to see Deadmau5, right? Or well, I'm just putting it into like sort of a social context, or EDC, right?
Yeah.
Like a guy like me would clean up at Vamped, okay, but not at EDC, not at EDC, because you're simply not in your own element. I think so. Again, it's contextual. Like Mike was trying to say that he was trying to.
It's funny. We were with Deadmau5 last night.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I brought that up. I know you guys, and then you guys are going to go see Skrillex. I mean, I'll go see Skrillex.
Yeah.
But no, like he was talking about during Access Vegas last Thursday. He was explaining. What a contextual alpha is. It's actually a chapter in my first book, is being a conditional contextual alpha, meaning like the guy who is the teacher of the classroom. In that classroom, he's the alpha. The teachers are, because he's directing track. Everybody's there. The guy who is on a photo shoot and he's the photographer and he says, "Do this, arch your back, show me your ass, show me your tits, blah, blah, blah. Here, I'm taking pictures of you," or he's the one who's in command. I've been in those situations before where I've done video shoots for products when I was in working in wine and spirits. Like we would have girls that we were going to do like a video spot for, and I would have to say, "You do this," and I had to be careful too, because as soon as you step up and you're the guy that's like giving orders, that's social proof immediately. And that's like, and it becomes pre-selection. If one of the chicks finds you attractive, the other ones will too, because you're in a command presence state of mind right there. So it kind of depends on the context, but generally, yes.
Yeah.
But the girl, it basically is describing the 80-20 4.5% rule. So the 4.5% obviously is the guys getting laid all the time. Then there's the 20%ers who are like, is the sex intensity there? She says mid, right? Maybe at best, mid at best. And then there's the 80%ers who are never, they're the invisibles. That's what Mike calls them. Like the guy who's stocking the shelves at CVS. He uses this example where you say, hey, he'll talk to one of his girls and say, you see that guy over there? She's like, what? The one behind the stocker right there who's behind, at the pharmacy or something like that? No, the guy who's actually stocking the shelves. You see that guy? No, they don't.
Like the guy behind the mailman? No, the mailman.
The mailman. Yes. Yeah. The guy who's invisible to you. Like those are the 80%ers. Those are the guys who just simply are just not there. They're NPCs. They're not there. To women, they're NPCs. Right. And again, are all women like that? It's by order of degree, of course. It's by order of attractiveness. It's by order of what that woman, thinks her own sexual market, her self-perceived sexual market value is.
Yeah.
That's like something I need to bring up next time he uses that example. I think it's according to the sort of the self-perception of that woman's own evaluation of herself. Right. But by and large, yeah. If women are actually looking for an attractive man, they're going to see right through the guy who's stocking the shelves at Walgreens. So, but those are the 80%ers. Those are the guys who are, she says, not a chance in hell there's not a chance in hell they'll even be visible. So we're talking about 80%. And the reason why we use the number 80% is not because of the Pareto principle, or it's the old school red pill 80-20 rule, which is 80% of guys. And this is even Dr. David Buss, everybody drink, has said, he's done, there's multiple studies on this. It's not just David Buss. There's several others as well, where women rate 80% of men as unattractive. Steve Stewart Williams, for example. 80% of men are deemed or are designated as being unattractive, being that swipe. There's just no chance in hell that they're ever going to have any sort of interest.
Do you think that's just purely because of physical reasons, because of context?
I think it's more about physical reasons right now. It might have been something prior, but like right now, because we have like everything is visual based on our apps and stuff, we just swipe through. Do you remember? Maybe this is before your time. Do you remember an old website called Am I Hot or Not? You do. Remember Am I Hot or Not? Am I Hot or Not was like back in like the mid 2000s, I think.
Really? You've heard of this?
Yeah. And what it was is it's basically the same like function that like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, all that. And what they would do is they would take pictures of them, they'd take selfies of themselves, they would put them up on there, and you would rate them. And they would just like, it was a global rating. Like, and of course, all the guys get rated like shit, and all the hottest chicks are like all 10s, right? Which is, duh. But that's essentially what dating apps have sort of turned into. Now, like back in the eHarmony days and Plenty of Fish and OkCupid and Match.com and all that stuff, it used to be you would type out this really elaborate profile of what you're about and what the person you're looking for is about.
Yeah.
And you would go like, I like long walks on the beaches, and I like rainbows and puppy dogs, and I like, orange mocha frappuccino.
Yeah.
And so, but it was like this really kind of soul searching. It was like, you really had to like get cerebral about it. Now it's just like, nope. Yeah. Nope. That's all it is. And then they'll go, I can't find any good guys. Because it's all based on perception. It's all based on image right now. So if you want, Contextual Alpha is right. It is about your Instagram images and what they portray. And you have less than like what, half a second for it to register.
So for those guys who are in like the that 45 to 65 range, how at Reignite are we helping them get out of that 80%?
Right. Well, the thing is primarily there's two types of guys in Reignite. Okay. There's going to be the guys who are coming out of a divorce, and usually a very nasty divorce, right? Because otherwise they wouldn't be looking for our help. And then there's the guys who never really got it. Like those are the guys who got to be about 50. They've never been married. They don't have any kids, and they're thinking, usually they're very kind of particular about the women that they want to get with. A lot of these guys end up becoming passport bros. I'm not saying anything bad about passport bros, but I'm just saying these are the guys who like, all these women in Western countries suck. I'm going to go to Guam. Yeah. I'm going to go to Thailand. I'm going to go to the Philippines or whatever and find me a good traditional woman. And of course, they're just as big gold diggers as anybody else because you have the golden ticket back to the West. So, So there's really those two kinds of guys, and so I'll just give you a quick example. Actually, again, to use Harold, didn't know that he didn't have style. He just simply doesn't know. You know, the dude is in shape. He is like he's got abs too. I mean, the guy is he's older than I am, dude, and the guy's got abs. He goes to the gym. His hair is gray. It's like very silver, and he looks kind of like your aging uncle or your grandfather or something like that. I'm like, well, maybe you want to dye your hair. Maybe you want to maybe just shave it. I don't know what you got to find some style. We got to.
Yeah.
He has no style. That's the problem. And I think it was Adam Carolla one time said that like guys who are just
do I know Harold? I don't think I do.
No, I'll introduce you to him this week. He'll be here this week.
Yeah, I see it sometimes actually on because I obviously used to do a lot of like the initial coaching calls for MOA. You know, like Mike's a perfect example. Mike does not look like a normal 46-year-old, right? So like when I see 45,
what does a normal 46-year-old look like?
I think a normal 46-year-old is like,
what does a normal 56-year-old look like?
I think a normal no, not at all. No, normal 56-year-old is like wearing like the cargo shorts or like the oversized polos.
What is wrong
with this?
What is wrong with cargo shorts?
Are you serious? What's wrong?
I just don't understand that.
Yeah, they're wearing the oversized cargo shorts. They're like,
I don't own any. I'm just because of that.
They don't have Instagram. They don't want to get on social media. You know, they don't want to adapt. There's just like a lot of you know, they
want to coast. They want to ride it out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Like they brag about not knowing how to use their phone. Like, no.
No, yeah.
That's bad.
Sorry, Aaron Clary. But looking at you.
Yeah, no, that is the worst thing you could say to young, attractive women is bragging about not how to use your phone. So again, it's a hard concept to quantify or qualify per se, but like being the guy who gets it, you know, that's really what we got to work on.
Yeah, I think so too. And so as far as like going from like the 80, I would be happy to get guys from the 80th percentile, which is the no chance in hell, to maybe a shot in the 20 percentile. Simply because I think that really that's been the story of most guys' lives. Like if they go from hero to zero. Right? Yeah. So if you've got like a guy like even like Jeff Bezos, or if you look at a guy like Bill Gates, or you look at guys who are just like the classic nerd, even Elon Musk, the guys who are like the classic nerds, right? Who are, I mean, even Elon Musk, I believe he says he has Asperger's syndrome. I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that before. Guys who have to sort of find a way to go from ordinary to extraordinary, right? And so in their cases, they just made a shit ton of money, right? Well, how about guys who are coming out of a divorce and they don't have any style? I mean, at least Harold, he had something to work with because the guy's in shape, right? And he's got some money. So I don't have to worry so much about health and wealth, except for maybe the style part of health, you know, game basically. He has no style. And then, of course, he doesn't know anything about his body language because he had the duck walk. You know,
that's another thing. I've thought about that, but that's a great way of calling it the duck walk. Like, I knew what it was, but I never had a term for it. But I've seen that. And
I didn't. I tell you what's funny is I didn't even notice it until Jim Kilgore noticed it.
Yeah,
that he had the duck walk. And then that's the thing is,
Jim had the duck walk.
No, that Harold had. We were noticing him. We're watching him walk, and he was just kind of like, you know, like almost a cartoon character. I'm just like, why are you walking like that? And so it goes back to like, I remember when, you know, John MLD had a body language mastery. And I remember like looking at, I audited those classes. Like I would go in there and say like, who doesn't know this shit, right? They don't know this. They actually don't know how, they don't know what certain body language means because these guys, at least who were part of that group at the time, simply didn't have the, they grew up behind a screen, a monitor, a tablet, or whatever it is, and they don't have lived experience to understand. Like I don't see other people doing things and then learn from other people's behavior.
Yeah, and that's why you were building this tribe, right? It's like like think about that, right? Like he did a demonstration. The guys didn't know what they didn't know. Yes, and then they improved from there. Right. And that's like why having that feedback is so powerful.
And then having somebody to say, dude, why are you walking like that? Right. And having the balls to go and say, dude, did that really?
Yeah.
You know, and not as an insult, but because we want to help you. And sometimes it's hard to even say that, like, because you don't want to step on their feet. But in this case, you kind of have to, because if you don't, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
And so if you want that guy to go from like ordinary to extraordinary, you're going to have to fix the duck walk. You're going to have to fix the style. You're going to have to fix your hair. You're going to have to do something.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen how Jim and Joe walk in the room? I'm almost like, it's almost intimidating when you see like Kilgore or Joe Marone walk
man,
into a
Jesus
room.
Christ, man. That guy has more freaking clothes than most of the chicks I know, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's
nothing against that. But
no, it's great. Shout out Jamesy for watching, man. Like, keep it up.
Holy
I need to take some style advice from him, but it's not even that. It's like he has the suit, it's tailored, and then the way he walks and carries himself. You're like, oh, I'm not fucking with this guy. you know, this guy gets it. You know?
Yeah. And then I'll tell you the funny thing is, and I talked to him I joke with him about this, because like Corey Shaloff, like one of the principles of his photography stuff is like, for if you want to be a guy that like conveys high value, you have to be in like a nice suit or something. You have to be, no one has to be around it, just one person, and that's you in this
high value setting,
like you're in freaking, you know, Burma next to some like, you know, ancient temple or some shit like that. Or in Jim Kilgore's case, it looks, I know where he took these shots, but it looks like he's in the middle of Milan and he's by himself. Like there's not a soul around. I'm like, did he get up at like 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. to go take these shots,
like
so nobody would be there?
Jacket on a motorcycle.
Exactly. And it's just him, or he's like alone on, he's on like 395 going out towards like Arizona on this just lone highway, and he's the only one there, and they take a picture of him, right? And then I happen to know that where he took those pictures that look like he's in Milan, it's Tivoli down here. Tivoli Village. It looks like Milan. It does look like,
spoiler alert.
Yeah,
then there's
Las Vegas. He's got everybody at a disadvantage.
Then there's like the walkway at the wind.
Yes.
You do it. Yeah.
You do it early enough.
I have all those photos.
Yes. So anytime I see one dude and he's in this really exotic location, I go, you've been talking to Corey.
Yeah.
But it works. The shit works.